is the easiest button. Good. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. So I really wanted to talk about, where next-gen satellite or what it means for SES, always, looking into where we're going, where we're moving. And one thing I can say is that, satellites as well versus, next generation is always about people that, are pioneers, that have visions, that innovate, because it's definitely not a static world. And I would say this dynamism has increased strongly over the last few years, especially in the presence of the new hyperscalers in satellite that are coming along and that actually force the entire industry from manufacturing to the operators to actually revisit their strategies, adapt, innovate, and become better on certain elements of the entire value chain. From that perspective, what does actually new space mean from a pure infrastructure point of view, so satellite point of view? A few years ago, you have, and you still have, satellites that take 3 and more years to develop, from the drawing board to the launch, or from the first day to the first day of operations. It takes 3 years. On the other side, you are going to the other extreme, and you find small satellites, very easy, off the shelf, that only take weeks or days to be manufactured. And so that is the entire element and the entire width of possibilities that you have. That's one. Two, costs. Big satellites cost up to $500 million without any problem. And you have, of course, especially for the larger constellations that have the same birds, and many of them, you can go down to only 10 million for a bird, and even lower for the very, very small satellites. You have production times that actually take, very long. You have the big, very often, elder manufacturers, or that are already in the market, that have, that produce 10 satellites a year, and that's already a lot. And others actually have a complete conveyor belt of satellites, of platforms, of common modules, where they're going to produce hundreds a year, and therefore constitute actually a very good basis for setting up, larger constellation. And last but not least, you have very dedicated satellites that fulfill one key mission, that are designed, custom built for performing a very specific mission, typically defense satellites or others that have a very concrete mission, and others that actually you want them to be completely modular. You want them to be software defined. You want them to actually allow any state of that satellite to change over its lifetime. And it constitutes actually a part of a larger network that you want to have as flexible as possible, and also accompanying any of the new developments that you may have in the industry. So what does it mean today? In our industry, typically you operate in 3 orbits, going from the highest to the lowest, so GEO, MEO, LEO. I'm not going to go into all the details, but all of them have advantages and hurdles. And therefore, from a mainly GEO environment that operators also like SES have been in, for the last few decades, we have moved down, to coming closer to the Earth. So moving into MEO, but also being active in LEO, and I'm going to come back to this in a minute. So what do we have today? So we today operate in 2 orbits, the newer one being the MEO one, where we have already today 28 satellites active that turn around the world and provide very specific high bandwidth, low latency connectivity to users around the globe. And then on the other side, also we have the GEO ones, the former ones, but also the ones that have modern technologies on board that become way more software defined, that we become way more adaptable to any changes over time, to any different missions, the geopolitical situation forcing us also to address many geopolitical situations within hours, I would even say within minutes, where our partners, where the ones that need connectivity ask us actually to modify all of this. And therefore, it's very important that also in a new next generation environment, we go into what we call multi-orbit. Multi-orbit, why? Because it is about being present in all of the orbits in order to serve all your customers with all the services that you may have. We are going, of course, from an owner economics in MEO and also GEO, but also in LEO. We are increasingly also delivering networks, end-to-end networks to our customers through LEO. How do we do it? Well, we have very, very large relationships and also partnerships with the LEO operators, and we combine all of this into one service. Why are we doing this? It's because, again, our business model is completely evolving. Our satellite business is no longer one of selling equipment that we have in the sky, but we are currently now going into satellite as a service. Everything we do becomes a service, no longer an infrastructure business. And so that means we also need to adapt. Also, we need to actually be in, network management. We need to be in end-to-end solutions, and therefore we are becoming also a system integrator for many, many of the businesses that we are doing. The supply chain I already mentioned. We are accompanying clearly changes also in the supply chain, creating environments where satellites can be built in a modular way, in a way more adapted way, where it takes less time, where they are less expensive, in order to have also the business models, fit the budgets that are allocated to one or the other projects. Space architecture. While in the past, we were discussing, we need satellite capacity in GEO or MEO or LEO, we are now in a completely inclusive one. We are MEO, LEO, GEO. And so in that respect also, it is a complete end-to-end solution with multiple orbits business that we are entering into. What we're definitely also looking into is, especially now in the defense sector, that I'm definitely most familiar with, is that we are being asked to go into adjacent markets. So forget SATCOM. There is something more than SATCOM. There's Earth observation. There's quantum. There's anything. And so we are being approached more and more to serve and to be innovative and actually create solutions that our customers want us to see on their behalf in a sovereign, secure environment where they basically sit together with us, we co-define, we co-design, and then we have the missions that we're going to develop and deliver end-to-end to those customers. PPPs as well. We have increasingly now, especially in the government environment or in the institutional environment, a tendency to go into public-private partnership. Is no longer only about commercial elements anymore. It's also involving governments, institutional bodies into what we can provide to them. And therefore, it's very important that we start also this business very early. Why? I'll give you a concrete example. If you want to be offering services and solutions to NATO, for instance, you need already at the design stage to be sitting together with them and ensuring that whatever your commercial constellation network solution is going to provide, by a switch of a click, you have actually a compatible, security relevant, and also sovereign solution that you can offer to defense partners. And the intelligence of it is on the ground. While the satellites are getting way more flexible, way more intelligent, way better, actually everything is on the ground. Is how to connect, how to interconnect, how to apply intelligent routing, how to have also modular elements that allow you to switch from one orbit to the other, use the same equipment, use other gateways, have satellite-to-satellite links, that also are requested in a defense or in a security environment, rather than bringing it to the next pop of the internet and then routing it through countries that you don't control. So all of this is the future that actually we are, and the entire satellite industry is actually working on right now. As examples, IRIS-2. IRIS-2 may be seen as a very heavy, but still it's a very important project because it's a LEO and MEO security, sovereign security contract, and also network of LEO satellites and MEO satellites that the European Commission will launch. But it's full of technological challenges, new designs, new elements, and therefore it's very important that also we as SES with the other partners that we are in the consortium with lead this. We bring the new innovation to this, and in a few years you're going to see some of these elements also then in the sky and especially on the ground. And especially also for Luxembourg, it means not only participating in one of the key European projects right now, not only in space, but also on the ground, as Luxembourg will also be hosting along 2 other sites, one of the ground control centers in the country here, and combine then the satellite environment also to the secure, the very secure, high secure, ground elements of that constellation. Eagle One, I'm not going to go back to it again. You had, sufficient, levels of quantum up to now, but this is also definitely something that we are working on. And to end my presentation, this is the vision that we have, at SES, is that we're going to have still GEO satellites flying around the equator. We are going to have MEO satellites that will have global coverage. And we are going to have also LEO satellites. And guess what? They will directly communicate with the other satellite orbits. There's going to be Earth observation satellites. There's going to be other kind of satellites that will communicate directly with MEO, GEO, and interconnect directly, deliver data directly to the headquarters, to the decision centers, in order to make sure that this is a fully integrated, secure, and sovereign network all around the globe. And with that, I think I already passed my time by 1 minute. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Philippe Glaesener from SES Astra. Thank you, sir.